This morning I decided to um, record this message which I was about to send to someone who asked a very important question in relation to whether we can somehow influence the situation, um, the wellness or well-being of a loved one, someone we know and care about, who has died, who has especially recently died. And it's a very important question because it puts several things in check, as in addresses the question on transferring of merits or sharing of merits with the intention to improve the status of someone who has recently died. Now, this is a very multi-layered or tricky question, one might say, because the mind wants to know that it has some control over another person's quality of birth and therefore becoming what we call jati. And of course, there are many places in the suttas where Lord Buddha discusses as to who is the most, or could be the most receptive, quote unquote, in a receptive mode to absorb or receive the merits that we are transferring or sharing. And specifically, he talks about the class of beings that are the best to receive that. Therefore, what he refers to is the class of beings we call petas, or hungry ghosts, as sometimes are translated. They're the ones who are, they're below the human realm, but they are also therefore in a miserable state, and they're always in need of our attention, our love, our affection, and anything that, even food, that we can put aside during the day and think of them. So one very powerful sutta that I have covered in the past that deals with this specifically is the Janusoni Sutta, where the Brahmin Janusoni comes and asks Lord Buddha the question as to, we're taught to, do these kind things and for the sake of getting merits and transferring merits, but who in fact is, or is there anyone really to receive it? And if anyone knows this, the answer to this question is Lord Buddha. So he comes with this question, Janusoni. And Lord Buddha says, he lists every single, class of being, and then he says how once a human being is born, dies and then is reborn as a human being, your merits will not pretty much get to them. Same thing what happens with the deva. If the person dying goes and gets reborn in a heavenly realm, they're also not going to be benefiting from your merits much. So that discourse is really wonderful, and I have covered it in depth. I've translated it some years ago, but I did cover it, I think it was last year when I was in Malaysia. So I will somehow put the links at the bottom of the description of this recording. So the thing to remember is, when our loved ones suffer in this life, despite all our efforts and love for them, we still are not able to make them even experience one less of the suffering they are undergoing. So even when they're in front of us, as a human being, we can identify, they're tangible, they're reachable to some degree. With all our desire and wanting and abilities, can we really reduce their pain? So as a species and a culture, we are always hoping and believing, as well as praying. And this is something that we get from our Judeo-Christian upbringing in Western cultures, that somehow, now that they've died and gone to another realm, by the way, another realm which, unlike the human realm, where we saw them in and experienced them, now they're beyond our reach, fully gone beyond our reach. So this desire to want to help can cause a person to feel sadness and depression, hopeless and helpless, which adds more stress. It really messes up your tranquility of mind, and it even can increase a level of skepticism, or produces it in the mind, which is exactly the opposite of what the Dhamma does for us and needs to do for us, which is to help us have a tranquil mind and a metta pervading heart. This itself, the pervading of metta towards the loved one, is what is recommended here. So, because when I am spreading metta out there, I mean, when I say I mean the person, spreading metta all around, in all directions, at least you are giving your loved one a chance, wherever and whoever they might be. Existence is vast, but there's here the issue of, I want to still have some level of control, just for the sake of my mental ease and comfort. I want to feel safe, that they're safe. This is dukkha in the person. This is suffering in you. Because there's the desire to help, but by seeing them being helped, you're giving yourself a sense of, some sense of safety, which, by the way, we're all are seeking. And oftentimes people forget that your choice in living a virtuous life with a mind that constantly is developing in meditation, and also, as a result, gaining insights whereby yesterday's behavior today is changed in you. It's become pure. The mind, your being, is becoming more and more purer, and the mind is becoming more calm, is in fact a state that can not only benefit one specific person, but the whole entire existence. Because with such a lifestyle, you give protection and inspiration both to yourself and to others. And yes, I dare say even to the loved one, because they're still touching the fabric of existence, whatever form they might be in. This is not metaphysical stuff. This is not just, trying to talk about flowery, hopeful, something out there that can never be validated. What I can say is that, from personal experience here, that your state of mind and your relationship in your mind, any leftover, any remainder state of being that you have in connection to this person who has died, and all the issues. Perhaps there were some bitterness, there were some tension, some incidents that happened between you, some feelings, emotions, strong emotions between you and that person who died while they were alive, that can be poisonous. So as you are also purifying your life through sila, samadhi, panya, which is living with virtue, developing meditation, cultivating the mind to reach deeper and deeper states of calm, and being able to see life through a new lens, the eye of wisdom. You start seeing those tensions, those bitter experiences, those knots in your heart towards this person or because of this person loosen up and completely fade away. That itself, no matter where this loved one is now reborn, in whatever state, that will influence them to the better. So this is something that I could add. As I mentioned, this comes from personal experience, and you won't find a validation of that from the suttas other than the big one, the big validation that we get from Lord Buddha himself, as I mentioned in the Janusoni Sutta. So the work has to be done here with you, by you, because that's, the person who's, you're standing on your two legs here now in this very life. Diteva dhamme in Pali is called here and now. We don't know where the other person is. But if there's any access to them, then it is through your heart. So try not to make this transference of merits business be simply something that's coming from like a mental, intellectual, verbal exercise, because that won't help. I can guarantee you. It won't help. It never has helped. So, because if it's helping anyone else, it's going to only come as a consequence of whether you are being helped through the practice that you're engaged in. So I hope this is going to be assisting you in, clarifying some of the points. And this is a very important question, and I appreciate you asking about whether we can help those of our loved ones who have passed on, died, and we have zero control as to where they are and whether we can improve their state. So, and I have mentioned before in several talks, I think it was in the Dhamma by the Bedside, a couple of videos I've done where I was addressing individuals' questions about loved ones who were dying or in the hospital or sick, and how it is important to always check in with your own quality of mind. That is the number one primary launching pad. And from there, you can make things happen. And because if you're feeling soothed, cooled, refreshed, calmed and tranquil and clear, that will influence the world around you. So I hope this helps, and Sukhi Hotu.